Well, it's nice to get a gong for simply doing your job, and that is, of course, what happened to former Victorian Premier Daniel Andrews and former WA Premier Mark McGowan today in the King's Birthday Honours. Both are now companions of the Order of Australia, which is the country's highest honour and essentially our version of a knighthood. And on that basis, perhaps Daniel Andrews could be known as Sir Charge, given the massive spending and debt he wrought upon Victoria and what it's done in terms of sky-high taxes. Now, of course, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese predictably defended the appointments today.
Both Daniel Andrews and Mark McGowan were very successful from the people who matter to their respective states in Victoria and Western Australia.
Whatever the hell that means. I thought I was listening to Joe Biden there for a sec. But it's a slap in the face to everyone who suffered through lockdowns, particularly those in Melbourne, the most lockdown city in the world. It's a slap in the face to everyone in Western Australia who was prevented from seeing their families and friends for 697 days while the border was closed. Mr McGowan said at the time that we'll be turning Western Australia into an island within an island, our own country. That he did. And it tore families apart while people died on the other side of the country, unable to say goodbye to their loved ones. The families of the 800 people who died, thanks to Victoria's horrific mismanagement of hotel quarantine, deserve to feel angry today. I thought today of Joseph De Petro, a man whose sad story I broke when I was a reporter at the Herald Sun during the pandemic. He made a mad dash from Bangkok to Melbourne to say goodbye to his dying mother in August 2021. He was forced to sit in an Adelaide quarantine hotel for 32 hours before an exemption to fly to Victoria, for which he had applied 4 days earlier, was finally granted. He had to charter a private flight to get to Melbourne, and his mother unfortunately died while he was in the air. When he landed at Essendon Airport, he was made to wear full-body PPE before he was taken to another quarantine hotel and then eventually to the hospital to see his mother's body. He was made to wait 40 minutes in a van until nurses allowed him into the building, and when he got in there, he was told he'd need someone to escort him to his mum's room and stay with him. He told me at the time that they sat outside peeping through the window. I thought I must have been on the most wanted list. I thought of Joseph and his family today because it's that kind of inhumanity and indignity that Mr Andrews and Mr McGowan put people through. And for that, they've been rewarded. They've been given the country's highest civil honour for doing their jobs, and doing them, it should be noted, extremely badly. But the real kicker is that both of them were awarded their ACs in part for eminent service to public health. They did nothing for public health. They destroyed it. The Victorian hospital system is stuffed. Hospitals are in budget deficits. And Andrews was such a public health genius that his government stumped up $1.5 billion to help clear the massive backlog of elective surgeries created by his lockdowns. Now, that increased demand for specialists in Melbourne, so they all took work there because the government was paying extra to expedite all these procedures. So then regional hospitals went, hang on, we don't have any anaesthetists because they've all gone down to Melbourne to chase good coin, which meant they had to start offering $10,000 a day to lure them back from Melbourne so they could keep doing surgeries. The Ring of Steel, the border closures, the outdoor mask rules, the vaccine mandates, the 9 p.m. curfew, the 5-kilometre radius, the dead CBDs, the 1 hour of exercise a day, all unscientific claptrap. And they've been rewarded for eminent service to public health. Mental health is worse than it's ever been. Ambulance ramping hit near record levels in WA under McGowan's watch. Eminent service to public health. Now, it's not unusual for former premiers to be given these honours, but it usually comes some years after they've left office. Andrews and McGowan only departed last year. They both decided they'd had enough, packed it in, and charged the taxpayer on the way out for a by-election. Former South Australian Premier Stephen Marshall doesn't have an AC. He was a pandemic premier. Nor does Gladys Berejiklian. I don't know what they're smoking over at the Council for the Order of Australia, but it can't be good for public health.